First, before we even start that, we want to be sure that our counters are clear. We have clear cutting mats, clean cutting mats. Um, we can wash our hands before eating, before and after caring for someone who is home with sickness. Maybe they've had some upper GI distress or lower GI distress, like vomiting or diarrhea. If someone has a wound, or if we have a wound on our hand, we need to wash our hands before and after we care for that wound. Certainly after using the toilet. If you're changing diapers of children or adults that have incontinent issues, those kinds of things are very important too. After blowing our nose and coughing or sneezing, we need to wash our hands. We know that some of the issues related to the COVID-19 virus involve accessing our respiratory tract. So anything we can do to keep our hands off our face, away from our eyes and nose and mouth are very important. If we touch an animal or we feed an animal or we're dealing with cleaning up the litter box, washing our hands is very important as well. If we handle pet food or pet treats, hand washing is important. And then certainly after touching garbage. And we know we have certain days of the week that our city picks up our trash, and so getting everything out to the trash can is very important. So washing our hands is very important there too. When we think in terms of washing our hands, CDC has recommendations, and many of you have washed your hands inevitably well all over your lifetime. Maybe you had some hints from your mother or your grandmother too, but we need to be sure we have our hands wet, and then we apply the soap, and we have either just barely warm water or cool water, because we know that if we have too much heat on our skin, it dries the oils, and so it's not the water temperature that helps get rid of the microorganisms, but it's the friction that we use with our hands, getting soap on all surfaces, under the nails, on all surface of the hand, upper and lower. All those kinds of things are important, and that friction is what helps move the microorganisms so that we can rinse and get the microorganisms and viruses or bacteria off our hands. After we rinse, we want to be sure that we dry our hands either by air or using a clean towel or a paper towel, and then disposing of it properly. So hand washing is really important, and during that scrubbing phase, there's different ways to keep the at least 20 seconds of friction going. We can sing the happy birthday song. Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you. And then we sing it twice. We want to be sure that we're doing enough friction to make sure our hands are clean as possible. So when we think in terms of protecting our bodies, protecting our families, all those things are very important. Also, care of our skin is very important. We know that skin is our largest organ of our body for protection, and we need intact skin. So using hand lotion, hand creams, and things like that, if you have very dry skin, is very important as well. So when we think in terms of helping our families, helping ourselves keep our immune system up, there's lots of things that we can be doing to take care of ourselves. Brenda did a great job last week in highlighting many of those areas. Our sleep is important. Our nutrition is important. The vitamins we take are important for our system, whether they are whatever form your doctor has recommended or your healthcare provider has recommended. So when we think in terms of this COVID crisis that we're facing, what are some of the symptoms that we are aware of that could indicate that maybe a family member or someone else is struggling with that? We all know that a lot of places are taking people's temperatures. If people have a cough, those are kind of a certain alert if there's shortness of breath or difficulty breathing. Some other symptoms that people have reported and have been documented also are tiredness, aches, runny nose, and a sore throat. And those often mimic some of our other upper respiratory infections too. But now there's some new information saying that sense of taste and smell can sometimes be very, very dramatically changed during this onslaught if a person is getting the virus. So when we think of what we can do to maintain our health, to keep our social distancing intact, we're finding that fluids are very important, making sure that we drink often, make sure our mouth and our oral cavity is moist so that if viruses are trying to embed, we can wash them down into our stomach so that our stomach can take care of them that way. So lots of fluids important, lots of rest, good nutrition, taking care of ourselves, also finding ways that we can cope with the concerns that we have, spending time in prayer, having a gratitude journal. All those kinds of things can help us cope with the fact that we are more socially isolated than we ever have been before. Many of you are using Zoom and using FaceTime and audio and communication with your families and with your friends. Those things are very important. So I hope these tips have been a little bit helpful and that you can be encouraged that we can go forward, we can move together, helping each other, and have a good rest of the day and keep learning and keep growing. My name's Elaine Wood. I forgot to say that at the beginning.